My name's Sarah Thompson, and 2 years ago my whole bloody life got ripped out from under me. It was a Tuesday arvo in March when the cops knocked on the door. I remember it clear as day. I was in the kitchen making Vegemite sangers for the kids, Jake and Lily, while the telly droned on about some footy scandal in the background. Mark, my husband of 12 years, was supposed to be home by 6 after a run up to Newcastle with a load of plumbing fittings. He never walked through that door again. They told me it was instantaneous. A blown tire on AB double coming the other way on the Hume Highway, just past Goulburn. The truck jackknifed, smashed straight into Mark's ute. No chance. I don't remember much after that, just screaming, the kids running in asking why mummy was on the floor, and my sister rushing over from Penrith to take charge because I couldn't even bloody stand up. We'd been your typical Western Sydney family. Lived in a neat 3-bedroom brick veneer in Blacktown, mortgage nearly paid off, pool in the backyard that Mark had put in himself. He and his best mate Dave had built Thompson & Sons plumbing supplies from nothing, started in a tin shed in Seven Hills 15 years earlier, grafting weekends and nights until it turned into a proper warehouse with half a dozen staff and contracts all over New South Wales. Mark was the ideas man, the charmer who brought in the big clients. Dave handled the books and the day-to-day grind. They were thick as thieves, those two. Dave was at our wedding, held Jake the day he was born, came to every birthday Barbies with a slab under one arm and a bottle of Bundy for later. He was family. The funeral was a blur of black clothes and casseroles from neighbors. Hundreds turned up, tradies, suppliers, even blokes Mark had played junior footy with back in the day. I stood there in the heat at Pinegrove Memorial, holding the kids' hands so tight I left marks, watching them lower the love of my life into the ground. I kept thinking, this can't be real. Mark'll walk up any second with that cheeky grin, saying he's just pulled the biggest prank ever. But he didn't. Afterwards, when everyone went home and the house went dead quiet, that's when the real nightmare started. Bills piled up, the phone wouldn't stop ringing, and I could barely get out of bed. I'd never handled the business side, that was Mark's domain. I was the part-time admin at the local primary school, good with kids but hopeless with spreadsheets. Then Dave stepped in, like some bloody guardian angel. Showed up the day after the funeral with a box of beers and a folder full of paperwork. "Sir, don't stress, yeah. Mark made me promise if anything ever happened, I'd look after you and the littlies. Business is half yours now, I'll keep it ticking over, pay the mortgage, make sure the kids don't miss out on anything." He hugged me, strong and steady, smelling like the same Old Spice Mark used to wear. I cried into his shoulder like a bloody idiot. For the next 2 years, Dave was everywhere. He'd rock up after work with pizza or fish and chips, mow the lawn when I forgot, drive Jake to cricket training when I was too wrecked to move. He paid school fees without me asking, fixed the leaking tap in the bathroom, even shouted as a weekend at Jamboree when the kids were struggling. "Mark would have wanted this," he'd say, ruffling Jake's hair. The kids adored their Uncle Dave. I did too, in a numb, grateful sort of way. I never thought to question it. Why would I? He was just being the loyal mate, the top bloke Mark had always trusted with everything. Looking back now, I reckon that's exactly what he was counting on. Life didn't exactly get easier after those first few months, but it started to feel manageable. The kids went back to school, I picked up extra shifts at the primary school office to keep the routine going, and slowly the black cloud lifted just enough that I could breathe without it hurting. Dave was the constant in all of it. Every fortnight he'd transfer money into our account, your share of the profits, sir, no arguments, and he'd always turn up with groceries or a voucher for the local butcher when he knew the fridge was looking sad. He'd sit at the kitchen table with his laptop, tapping away at the books while I cooked spag bol or threw snags on the barbie. "Business is holding steady," he'd say with that easy grin. "Mark built something solid, mate." We're right. I started noticing little things, though. The way he'd linger in the doorway when he dropped the kids home from footy, like he didn't want to leave. Or how he'd brush my arm when he passed me a stubby, his fingers staying a second too long. Once, after a few too many wines on a Friday night, the kids asleep, footy replay on the telly, he put his arm around me on the couch. "You're doing so well, love," he murmured, voice low. "Mark, be proud." I froze, heart thumping, then gently shifted away, muttering something about being knackered. He laughed it off, said he understood, but I caught that flicker in his eyes, disappointment, maybe something hungrier. I told myself it was nothing. Grief does weird things to people. Makes you read into everything. Besides, Dave was just being supportive. Wasn't he? The kids absolutely loved him. Jake started calling him Uncle Dave without anyone prompting, and Lily would beg him to read her bedtime stories when he was over. He'd bring him little presents, a new Sharon for Jake, a glittery necklace for Lily that looked way too expensive for a 10-year-old. Spoiling them rotten, I'd tease, and he'd wink and say, they deserve it after what they've been through. He even shouted us all a long weekend down the south coast one school holidays, rented a big house at Kiama, took us to the blowhole, bought the kids bodyboards. I remember standing on the beach watching him help Jake catch waves, thinking how bloody lucky we were to have him. Mark would have been stoked knowing his mate had our backs. But there was always this tiny voice in the back of my head, quiet but persistent. Why was Dave still single after all these years? He was 43, decent looking, owned half a thriving business, women at barbecues were always flirting with him. Yet he never brought anyone around, never mentioned dating. And sometimes, when his phone buzzed late at night while we were watching telly, he'd glance at it and quickly flip it face down. I'd catch him typing fast, thumbs flying, then shove it back in his pocket with a sheepish grin. Just work stuff, he'd say. I never pushed. Wasn't my business. Then, about a month ago, the accountant rang out of the blue. Some older bloke Mark had used for years, retiring soon, wanted to finalize the succession paperwork, now that 2 years had passed. He needed full access to the company accounts, said Dave's summaries were helpful but he'd need the raw data for tax and estate purposes. Dave had always handled that side of things, sending the accountant whatever he asked for, so I didn't think twice. But the bloke mentioned something about discrepancies in cash flow that needed clarifying in person. Discrepancies. The word stuck in my craw. That night I dug out Mark's old laptop from the study cupboard, dusty, battery flat, password still our wedding date. I charged it up, half expecting it to be full of photos and footy tips. Instead, I found folders and folders of company files Dave had apparently synced years ago, invoices, bank feeds, tax returns going back a decade. I told myself I was just familiarizing myself, being responsible. Thought I'd have a quick squeeze, maybe tidy a few things up before the accountant came. Bloody hell, if only I'd left that laptop in the cupboard. I sat there in the study, the house dead quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the occasional car out on the Great Western Highway. Mark's old laptop screen glowed in the dark, casting this sickly blue light on my face as I clicked through folder after folder. At first it was just numbers, invoices, receipts, bank feeds, the sort of stuff that makes your eyes glaze over. But then I spotted a pattern. Regular transfers, every month like clockwork, to an account ending in 4472. Not the business operating account, not suppliers, not wages. Thousands at a time. I cross-checked the dates against the profit summaries Dave had been giving me, and my blood ran cold. Those profits he'd been paying out to keep us afloat. A fair chunk was coming straight back from money he'd shifted out the other side. I dug deeper, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. There were hotel bookings, fancy places up in the Blue Mountains, Katoomba, Lura, the Hydro Majestic no less, charged to the company credit card. Weekend escapes for two, spa packages, champagne breakfasts. Then jewelry, a $4,200 necklace from a boutique in Paddington, a diamond bracelet from Tiffany's in the city. I felt sick. None of it had ever come home to me or the kids. Next came flight confirmations and a resort booking in Noosa, 5 nights, Ocean View Suite, again on the business. Dates matched school holidays last year when Dave had told me he was up north closing a big contract. I'd thanked him for working so hard while we struggled. But the real knife in the guts came when I found the hidden folder buried in the documents' depersonal backup. Password protected, but Mark had used the same one for everything. The kids' birth years, 0911. Inside were emails. Hundreds of them. From Dave to an address I didn't recognize at first, chloe.baby92@gmail.com. Subject lines that made my skin crawl. Can't wait for Friday, gorgeous, last night was unreal, wear the red one again. Photos attached, Dave and a young woman, early 20s, blonde, all tanned legs and fake lashes, wrapped around each other in hotel beds, on balconies overlooking the mountains, even one of them clinking champagne glasses on a bloody yacht in Sydney Harbour. Company yacht day he'd told me was a client entertainment expense. The dates went back 4 years. 4 bloody years. Before Mark's accident, while Mark was still alive, grafting 12-hour days, coming home knackered to mow the lawn and coach Jake's cricket team, his so-called best mate was off shagging some Instagram wannabe on the company dime. I found an email thread where Mark had confronted him, furious, calling Dave every name under the sun, threatening to end the partnership, go to the police for embezzlement. Dave's reply was groveling, promises to end it, to pay every cent back, begging Mark not to destroy both their families. Mark, soft as he was with mates, had agreed to a repayment plan, kept it quiet, for the kids' sake. But the transfers never stopped. If anything, they got bigger after the accident. That's when it truly hit me. All those months Dave spent, helping us, paying the mortgage, school fees, bringing groceries, a decent slab of that money was Mark's own cash that Dave had stolen in the first place. He wasn't being generous. He was laundering his guilt, keeping me sweet, keeping me grateful so I'd never look too closely at the books. Every hug, every Mark would have wanted this, every late night beer on the couch, it was all part of the act. He'd played the hero to the grieving widow while funding his secret life with my dead husband's legacy. I sat back in the chair, tears streaming, feeling like the biggest mug in Australia. 2 years. 2 whole years I'd let this snake into our home. Let him tuck my kids into bed, let him put his arm around me while he was still texting her behind my back. The betrayal burned hotter than anything I'd ever felt. Mark hadn't just been cheated on, he'd been robbed blind by the one bloke he trusted most. And me. I'd been the perfect fool, too broken to see it. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the dark lounge room with Mark's old laptop still open, the screensaver flickering photos of happier times, Barbies in the backyard, Christmases at Nana's, Mark hoisting Jake on his shoulders after a grand final win. Every happy memory now felt poisoned. By dawn I'd printed everything, bank statements, emails, receipts, the lot. Pages and pages of proof that Dave had been bleeding the business dry for years, then using the crumbs to keep me quiet. I felt like the biggest idiot in New South Wales. How had I not seen it? All those times I'd thanked him, hugged him, told the kids how lucky we were to have Uncle Dave. I wanted to vomit. He rocked up that Saturday arvo as usual, slab of VB in one hand, a bag of hot chips for the kids in the other. "G'day, sir. Thought we'd fire up the Barbie, watch the Swans game," he called out, all matey and cheerful. The kids barreled into him for hugs, but I stood in the doorway like a statue. "Kids, go play in your rooms for a bit," I said, voice flat. They looked at me funny but trotted off. Dave's grin faded when he saw my face. "You right, love. You look like you've seen a ghost." I didn't yell, didn't need to, just slid the folder across the kitchen table. "Explain this." He opened it, went white as a sheet, hands shaking as he flicked through the pages. "Sarah, it's not what, don't," I cut him off. "Don't you bloody dare. 4 years you were rooting that girl on Mark's money. He knew. He confronted you. And instead of coming clean, you kept stealing. Then when he died, you played the hero with money that was rightfully mine and the kids anyway. You make me sick." He broke then, fell into a chair, head in his hands, sobbing like a kid. "I loved him like a brother, sir. I got in too deep, the debt, the lies. Chloe, she was a mistake, but I couldn't stop. After the accident I panicked. Thought if I looked after you mob, made it right somehow, no one would ever find out. He begged me not to go to the coppers, swore on his mum's grave he'd sell his house, pay every cent back, even go to counseling. Said he'd always cared about me, more than a mate should. That almost made me laugh, bitter, ugly laugh. You cared about keeping your ass out of jail, you mean? I told him to get out and never come back. He left the slab on the bench and stumbled to his ute, crying the whole way. I locked the door behind him, then rang Mark's sister Karen. She and her husband drove straight over from Campbelltown. When I showed them the evidence, Karen went ballistic, screaming, crying, calling Dave every filthy name under the sun. Mark's brother Paul wanted to go round and king hit him. The whole family blew up on the group chat, cousins, aunties, even old footy mates who'd known the boys since juniors. Outrage doesn't cover it. They felt betrayed too, like Dave had spat on Mark's grave. Monday morning I was at the lawyer's office in Parramatta by 9, solicitor and forensic accountant both booked. We froze the business accounts, put a hold on all withdrawals, started the process to buy Dave out at a fraction of what his share was really worth after the embezzlement. Reported it to New South Wales Police, fraud squad's investigating now. Dave's gone to ground, reckon he's hiding at his mum's place in Queensland. The kids are shattered, had to sit them down and explain Uncle Dave did very bad things and can't come around anymore. Lily cried for hours, Jake just went quiet, punched his pillow till his knuckles bled. We're in counseling now, the 3 of us. Some days I still wake up expecting Mark to be beside me, then remember the double betrayal and feel like I'm drowning all over again. But I'm not the broken woman I was 2 years ago. I've taken over the business properly. Now, hired a new manager I trust, learning the books myself. We'll survive. We'll thrive, eventually. Mark deserved better, and so do we. As for Dave, let him rot with his guilt and his mistakes. Fair dinkum, some blokes don't just break your heart, they smash your whole bloody world. But worlds can be rebuilt, brick by brick. And mine will be stronger this time. No more blind trust. No more secrets.